In Burkina Faso, the government has launched a prison reform program that allows inmates to work in agriculture in exchange for reduced sentences. The way it works is very simple. For every month a prisoner spends farming, your sentence is reduced by 3 months.
President Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso has quickly built a reputation for bold and unexpected decisions. Since coming to power, he has broken from the usual way of doing things. He made moves that many other leaders would avoid, like cutting ties with the West and pulling Burkina Faso out of ECOWAS. But what if Africa's future doesn't lie in foreign aid or political deals? What if part of the answer is found inside prisons? Captain Traoré recently surprised the continent with an unusual move. Instead of letting prisoners sit behind bars with no purpose, he is turning them into farmers and builders of the nation. This is not just about giving people a second chance. He is changing how the country thinks about justice, agriculture, and dignity. Once again, Traoré is bringing change where no one expected it. And this is only the beginning. His new approach to the prison system has caught many off guard. He did not simply promise change. He took action. Thousands of prisoners who were locked up for minor crimes or offenses linked to poverty are now being given a new path in life. Here's where it gets interesting. He did not assign them to clean the streets or work in factories. Instead, he gave them It is part of a deeper strategy. Putting Burkina Faso first is at the core of this project. On a continent where solutions often come from outside, Traoré is showing that answers can come from within. Why keep prisoners locked away and fed by the state when they can grow food and feed others? Why let land and people go unused when they could help the nation? This idea has already brought results. It helped reduce food shortages, cut prison food expenses, and lowered repeat crime rates. Just this week, Burkina Faso's Minister of Justice, Edaso Rodrigue Bayala, visited Baporo prison. He stood in front of wide fields of maize, rice, and wheat. All of it was planted and grown by inmates. What used to be a prison is now a productive farm. Traoré has replaced speeches with action. Justice now comes through real work, not just through court decisions. Instead of locking people away with no future, the country is helping them rebuild their lives. This project was not rushed. Traoré brought together sociologists, agricultural engineers, and former inmates. Together, they built a system that feels like part school and part farm. Inmates take classes on farming, animal care, and irrigation. They grow crops like tomatoes, millet, and cashews, which are becoming one of Burkina Faso's and prepare for life after prison. Some have already sent their children back to school. Others have rented homes or bought motorcycles. The impact on crime is already clear. When people feel ownership and hope, they are less likely to return to crime. This is not about charity. It is about empowerment. Villagers who once feared former inmates now welcome them at local markets. One woman even joked that the prisoners grow better onions than the rest of them. Traoré is not apologizing for this. He is pushing forward. There are now discussions about turning more prisons into farming centers. The old way of doing things, punish, isolate, repeat, is being replaced. The new idea is to teach, support, and reintegrate. This may be the most wide-reaching prison reform ever attempted in Africa. This is about justice, but also about survival. Food insecurity has affected Burkina Faso and much of the Sahel for years. Conflict, foreign interference, and climate issues have made things worse. But Traoré saw something others missed. He saw empty lands, hungry people, and unused labor. He found a way to bring all three together. President Traoré is taking direct action against food insecurity by turning prisoners into farmers. This approach not only reduces the cost of running prisons, but also increases food production. Crops like wheat, corn, yams, and beans grown by inmates are now being used in school lunches and public meal programs. Some regions have started depending on this food for their daily needs. While quantity matters, the sense of pride behind it matters even more. Each bag of rice, harvested and packed by local people, sends a strong message. This food is made in Burkina Faso for Burkina Faso. It's a clear example of food independence. International aid groups didn't see this coming. A United Nations representative even admitted, "We've never seen anything like this succeed so quickly." Now, several nonprofits are studying the model to see if it could work in other parts of West Africa. But Traoré is not waiting for their approval. He is pushing ahead by building cold storage, expanding land access, setting up agricultural radio stations for training, and growing the program with military-like organization. This isn't just about optics or public relations. Traoré is fighting hunger not with bullets, but with crops. Hope and second chances are the tools now, and food has become a powerful force. The 8,000 volunteers for the Defense of the Homeland, VDP, are not just preparing to protect the nation from outside threats. They are being trained to fight a different battle, the battle against hunger, poverty, and helplessness. Instead of sending them into war zones, many of these men and women are becoming agricultural business owners. They are helping rethink land use and undo the damage of colonial land systems. For decades, African land was taken, fenced off, and used for outside profit. Colonial powers set borders and handed over fertile land to foreign interests. That system stayed in place long after independence. Now, Traoré is rewriting that script through his farmer-prisoner program. He is taking back state land that has been left unused or held by absent elites and giving it back to the people. Through a legal process called community reclamation, land is being assigned to ex-prisoners and prison farm groups based on their progress and commitment. Think about this. A man who once stole bread out of desperation now legally manages 10 hectares. He is growing cassava and has even hired his cousins. This is more than rehabilitation. This is justice through farming. Traoré believes that land is power. By returning control to local people and former prisoners, he is making a powerful shift. While many ordinary citizens see it as revolutionary, critics from the West call it risky or overly populist. Much of this land was once reserved for luxury construction or mining projects. Now, it feeds local families. There are no middlemen, no bribes, just direct support. Many say it carries the spirit of Thomas Sankara. Traoré is combining that vision with modern tools like drones, solar-powered irrigation, and digital land records using blockchain. It's a new kind of freedom, rooted in the soil. Every acre given back helps someone rebuild their life, and each former prisoner who becomes a farmer is investing in the country's future. Many never imagined that the same land once used to lock them away would become the key to healing. But that's what is happening now in Traoré's Burkina Faso. The economic impact is spreading fast. Traoré knew that bringing thousands of trained farmers into the system would shake things up. But he didn't try to avoid that. He welcomed it. He designed the program to create change. As prison farms expanded, the need for tools, seeds, storage, and transport grew too. Local blacksmiths received state contracts to make farming tools like machetes and hoes. Rural craftsmen built silos to store the harvest. Jobs began to return to villages that had been left behind. And it wasn't just jobs on the farms. It created work all around them. This was not wealth trickling down from the top. This was growth rising from the ground. Inmates were not just changing their own lives. They were restarting entire local economies. In Kubri, 5 restaurants now buy food from a prison farm. In Kudugu, a group of former inmates turned an abandoned factory into a working grain mill. And this, according to many, is only the beginning. Thanks to this new prison labor initiative, Burkina Faso's agricultural economy has grown slightly for the first time in many years. Former inmates, who were trained through these programs, are now teaming up with farmers across the country. Together, they're starting seed banks and forming farming cooperatives. Markets are growing, money is moving, and outsiders are puzzled. One frustrated European Union official reportedly said, "They're making money from rehabilitation." That's exactly right. In Traoré's view, giving people a second chance is not just good ethics, it's good economics. These prison farms are no longer draining public funds. They're contributing to the national budget, and that contribution keeps growing every quarter. This isn't charity. This is a long-term investment in the country. Every time a former prisoner picks up a farming tool, they're giving something back to society. With every crop sold and every harvest delivered, the old economic model is slowly being replaced. Justice in Burkina Faso is not just about punishment, it's about progress. And Traoré is helping turn that progress into real income for everyday people. He also made sure not to forget the most overlooked group in the justice system: women. Across Africa, female prisoners often face harsher judgment, more stigma, and fewer opportunities. But not under Traoré's leadership. In Ouagadougou's main prison, a new section was built just for women-led farming. The results are inspiring. Some of these women were once facing life behind bars. Today, they're growing medicinal plants, managing greenhouses, and leading lessons on vertical farming. They cultivate crops like aloe vera, moringa, onions, and peppers foods, and herbs linked to women's traditional economic roles. But this transformation didn't stop at planting. The government created women-only cooperatives that now support school lunch programs and public health projects. Pharmacies. She earns more than many government employees. Another woman, Mariam, helps train new members and builds their confidence through skills coaching. As for repeat offenses, almost none. Traoré realized something powerful: when a woman is given a real chance to rebuild, her whole community benefits. Families are fed, dignity is restored, and rural life becomes stronger. It also fuels a new sense of national pride. In a system that once silenced them, these women are now being heard. Traoré handed them not only farming tools, but also leadership roles. Now they are planting crops, singing proudly, and building futures. They are no longer seen as prisoners, they are community leaders, and they are earning that status through hard work and results. Traoré also knew that real change needed more than just good programs. It needed a strong message. Every bold reform needs public support to last. And Traoré understood that perfectly. He used media to shift the narrative. When some international outlets tried to label the prison farming initiative as forced labor, he responded quickly, how lives had changed. One ex-prisoner said, "That man gave me a second chance." State media started publishing weekly updates from the farms. Influencers began visiting the prison farms and interviewing the people involved. The world saw something real, not a publicity stunt. Even some foreign journalists started to question their own bias. To support this new movement, the Ministry of Communications launched a dedicated media channel focused on justice reform. It now broadcasts updates, training, and real stories in multiple languages. This isn't just about public relations. It's about showing people both at home and abroad that transformation is possible, and that it's already happening in Burkina Faso. This is more than just a development story, it's a shift in mindset. President Ibrahim Traoré is reshaping agriculture, one of Burkina Faso's most important sectors. Alongside the Ministry of Agriculture, he saw an opportunity. Turn idle prisoners into contributors who help build the nation. Traoré is taking back control over how Africa is seen. He doesn't ask for approval from outside forces. He shows the results. He keeps the public informed. And his people are responding with renewed trust. For too long, Africa's progress has been doubted by the rest of the world. Now, the spotlight is on Burkina Faso, and for the right reasons. Traoré made sure the story wasn't just about growing food. It was also about restoring belief in the nation. And in today's digital world, building that belief might be the most valuable harvest of all. But this is just the beginning. The path from prison to farm was only step one. Traoré's government is now exploring the next phase: specialized training centers where former inmates can learn agro-industry skills. These centers will offer cooperative ownership, export partnerships, and official certifications. The bigger vision? To build a network of farmer-led cooperatives that not only feed Burkina Faso, but also support neighboring countries. There are also plans for eco-villages, solar-powered housing, organic waste systems, and sustainable farms, all built and run by people who were once pushed to the margins of society. Leading economists across Africa are watching closely. If this works, it could completely change the way prisons operate in places like Senegal or South Africa. And if it doesn't? At least it tried to move forward, something most governments never do. But people in Burkina Faso aren't focused on failure. They are choosing to believe in what's possible. Because what Traoré started is more than a policy, it's a shift in how a nation thinks. It's a belief that even those who were once forgotten can contribute. That the land can lift people up, not just bury them. That justice, when done right, can produce both meaning and harvest. International bodies may choose to hold back support or keep sanctions in place. But Burkina Faso has found a new kind of strength, not in oil, not in gold, in its people restored, retrained, and ready to rebuild. This is the legacy Traoré is building, not with speeches, but seed by seed. And in the same fields where inmates once walked in silence, a much bigger future is now taking root. President Traoré is proving that true leadership isn't just about holding office. It's about having a mission. While the world watches in disbelief, Burkina Faso is quietly planting more than crops. It is sowing transformation, resilience, and redemption. Turning prisoners into farmers isn't just a social program. It's a message, one that says even the most forgotten lives can be part of a nation's rebirth. Growth. So, what do you think? Could this bold idea be the key to Africa's future in justice and development? Or is it too risky? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates on how the continent is changing.